Hey everyone, welcome to Trucking with Scar. I am checking in with you from Mokina, Illinois. It's about 1:50 in the afternoon Central Time, and it's a balmy 30 degrees outside. I just figured I'd take a moment to answer a question that I'm sure is running across a few of your minds. And that is, why is Scar wearing the exact same shirt in all of his videos? Well, with the exception of this video and the video before it, I have recorded all the videos on the exact same day. The These are just random times that I think of something that comes across my mind that, you know, someone might want to hear about, or I just want to get it out there. Well, with that, I figure it's also a good time to take a look at what a day is really like for a trucker. Because unlike most jobs, our day doesn't end at the same time. Our day doesn't begin or end at the same time every day. Most people, you have your time that you know you're going to be getting to work, and you know what time you're going to be getting off of work. It's not that way with a trucker. My day starts in one of two ways. It's either been 10 hours from the time that I stopped my day the day before, or it's whenever a load is assigned to me and I've gone to pick it up. Those are the two ways that my day starts and stops. And those are if I'm lucky, because sometimes those days also get changed according to whether or not I'm trying to sleep while they are loading or unloading my truck. Well, that makes it to where, well, the other side of it is everyone else, what with your schedule of knowing when you're going to get off and when you're going to start your days, you also know where you're going to sleep at night. You go back to a house every single day. Some days I know where I'm going to be sleeping at. Some days I don't. This load that I'm on right now, I'm pushing pretty hard because I've got a very short amount of time to get it delivered, and I've already got my next load assigned to me so that I can go pick it up and then head off to pick up or to deliver it. But I don't know at this point how much time I'm going to have left on my clocks and yes, that was plural clocks, uh, to be able to figure out where I'm going to sleep at yet. A trucker doesn't know if he's sleeping on the side of the road, which I try to avoid as much as possible because it's just not safe to hit the exit ramp and sleep on an exit ramp, or if he's going to be sleeping at a truck stop, or if he's going to be sleeping at a shipper or receiver, the places that we deliver and pick up from, or if he's going to be sleeping at a rest area until uh, he knows fully how much time he's going to end up having to push as far as he needs to push, or if it's going to be a relaxing drive and he doesn't really have to push that hard. Uh, well, none of those places have the same amenities. Like let's at a lot of the bigger truck stops, there are showers at them, but trucker also has to decide if he's going to pay for that shower. If you're lucky, you'll get a cheap shower at $10 a shower. If you're not lucky, it's going to be anywhere from $12 to $18, depending on where you go. Or if you're really lucky, you'll have shower credits at the place you decide to stop. And you get shower credits by filling up at a truck stop. Well, at some truck stops. A lot of your smaller mom and pop truck shops, truck stops won't give you shower credits for filling up their locations. I'm a company driver, so there's a pretty good possibility that I won't be assigned to go to a mom and pop truck stop uh, to fill up. But because of the way I drive, it's not uncommon for me to have to go to those mom and pop truck stops to find a place to safely park for the night and go to sleep. That makes one of the conundrums. And that's, uh, I do my best to take a shower about every 2 to 3 days. Sometimes I'll stretch it out a little bit longer. If I get depressed, then it's not uncommon for that shower to stretch out a little bit longer. Well, beyond that, one of the reasons that I wear the exact same shirt all the time is I found that a lot of my nicer looking shirts were showing wear and tear from this lovely little seatbelt rubbing across my shoulder all the time. And I didn't want that. I didn't want my nicer shirts to get destroyed from just being worn with a seatbelt rubbing on it all the time. So I purchased 12 of the exact same shirts at a truck stop. They were having a sale, and it cost me, I think it was $1 to $1.50 per shirt to buy a group of them at a time. And let me tell you, it's nice having a couple of extra shirts around because going and doing laundry on a truck means that I have to be at a place that has a laundromat. And some truck stops do have laundromats. The truck stop laundromats charge twice as much as any laundromat I've been to anywhere else in the United States. And those of you who know my history know that I've been in laundromats all over the U.S. long before I became a truck driver. Well, that gets expensive quick, and I only have so much time that I can be stopped every time I stop because I like to run as much as possible when I'm out here. The Anytime I'm on the road, I figure I need to keep the wheels rolling as much as possible because if the wheels aren't rolling, I'm not getting paid. And what's the point in being away from my family if I'm not getting paid? So I run my clocks just as tight as I can. By running my clocks as tight as I can, that means that my typical day, if I am not if I'm just doing mileage and I'm not bumping docks, I'm not at a shipper or receiver, I've gotten lucky and I'm doing loads that have me running long distances where it takes multiple days to get to where I'm delivering. Uh, when it's time for me to get on the road, I will drive for 11 hours and do my best to not stop unless I absolutely have to. Uh, the government says that I have to stop for 30 minutes at some point within an 8 hour period. Uh, that stop can be on my judgment when I want to, and it has to be 30 minutes and it has to be within my first 8 hours. If at any point I drive for 8 hours consecutively, I have to stop before that 8 hours is up, or I run the risk of getting a violation and it's a ticket. And those tickets get expensive quick. The other thing I have to watch out for is I have to be stopped within uh, the 11 hours of the time that I start driving. Well, depending on the time of day that I'm trying to stop, it can take anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes to find a place to park after I found a truck stop, because these big trucks are not easy to move around. I'm sure you've seen my video about how to be about big cars and little big trucks and little cars. Well, imagine how hard it is sometimes to find parking at sporting events and uh, or going shopping around the holidays. It's even harder to find parking when you've got a whole bunch of these big trucks all trying to stop at the same time, or in the middle of the night when the truck stops are already full. Because of that, I start looking for a place to park whenever I get to about 10 hours left of my drive day. I give myself an hour buffer to try to find and get into a parking spot. When I'm on the top of my game and I manage to find a spot, it still typically takes me anywhere from uh, 4 to 5 minutes to get into a parking spot once I have found the parking spot I'm going to get into. And that's just because of how much space it takes and time it takes to maneuver these big trucks and make sure you don't hit something. Then, once I'm in that spot, I have to do an inspection of my truck. And then after I do that inspection of the truck, I log off. And that off duty time has to be the equal to 10 hours. During that time, I'm also supposed to log 8 hours of what's called sleeper berth, saying that I'm laying down and going to bed and I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to be in this bed for 8 hours. The Then I get up. I have to do another inspection of my truck before I get back on the road. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm not the type that can easily lay down and fall asleep at any given moment. But the government says I have to do all this stuff and get to sleep and get up and get going before I can get going again. Well, during that 10-hour break, that's also whenever I try to catch a shower. That's also when I cook dinner. That's also when I clean up from dinner. I walk my dog. I play with my dog. I try and do all the stuff in that 10-hour time that you do at the end of your day. But that time changes. It could be there's a lot of times I'll be going to bed as the sun's coming up. There's a lot of times I'll be driving all night long. There's times that, like today, I slept half the day and I'm driving half the day. It really is dependent on the load. With that, that means I also try to be efficient with everything that I do. The more efficient I can be with my time on the road, the more money I can make. And I'm sure you're sitting there thinking, well, 11 hours and 10 hours, that still leaves you 2 hours a day that in a 24-hour period that you can go do stuff. Well, no, I really can't, because during that other 2 hours of the day, if I don't have any extra time on my load, that extra 2 hours is spent either changing what time I get up and go to sleep so that I can roll as fast and efficiently across the United States as I can, or that 2 hours could be spent trying to pull over and go to the bathroom. Just to pull into a rest area and then pull back out, it'll burn 15 minutes of my clock. Stopping on the side of the road which is not suggested. I only do it in emergencies. It is very dangerous. Stopping on the side of the road will take 10 minutes out of my drive day just because of how long it takes to speed up and slow down these big rigs. Uh, the heavier the load, the longer that takes. Well, sorry about the delays here, people, in my talk. I'm getting in a little bit of traffic and I'm just trying to pay attention to the road. I'll get back with the. There we go. Now we're doing all right. Uh, that time could also be spent in docks. So let's talk about what it looks like whenever I'm bumping docks. And whenever I say bumping docks, I literally bump the docks. I've got these little rubber bumpers on the back of my truck, on the back of the trailer, and the docks that I go up to, they have rubber bumpers, and they want me to be touching those bumpers whenever I'm getting loaded or unloaded. And the way we do that is we literally back up. I do it slower than some just because it jars me whenever I hit them. But I literally will bump into the dock. Truck will roll a little bit because of the rubber compressing and going back and forth. And then I'll just keep softly bumping into it until it comes to a stop before I set my brakes. Well, on those days, it takes anywhere, well, the fastest I've been unloaded was 45 minutes. The the longest that it didn't go over into the next day is about 4 or 5 hours. Well, I say that this load that I'm carrying, it took them 12 hours to get me loaded from the time that I showed up till the time that I left. Uh, the the I have been on loads that I've waited. The longest I've waited was 57 hours to get unloaded from a place up in New Jersey. Well, all that is time off the time I'm able to keep these wheels rolling. On a good day, a typical location takes about 2 hours to unload or load the truck. And if I'm having to get unloaded and loaded in the same day, that means that I'm going to be spending 4 hours of my day at a dock. Well, that's where another clock that I get to pay attention to comes in. That's called the 14-hour clock. What the 14-hour clock is, it says that all those other clocks that I pay attention to, from the time I start moving my truck, whenever I start my drive day, I have 14 hours to complete that 11-hour driving that I was telling you about. And that's regardless of anything else going on. I've got 14 hours. That clock starts when I start rolling. It stops whenever I log off to go to bed for the day. Well, that accounts for a little bit of the time. If you notice, I said that I'll be there for 4 hours. Well, that cuts down my 11-hour drive clock by 4 hours or by 1 hour. I lose an hour of driving capabilities. Then I also have to be stopped for 30 minutes if bumping docks didn't fall at the time that I hit my 30-minute break. So if I go drive for another 8 hours, that's another 30 minutes off my clock. That means I'm only able to drive for 9.5 hours. But that still means a 14-hour workday. Now, that 14-hour workday doesn't include what time was I able to go to bed the night before? What time did I wake up? How long was I sitting and waiting to get assigned a load to go pick up? You see how it keeps just shortening and shortening and shortening the capability for driving? Well, if these wheels aren't rolling, I ain't making money. I get paid cents per mile, which means that uh, sitting in docks, I'm not making any money. Now, there are some places that I get what's known as detention pay. Detention pay is less than what I can make while driving. And that detention pay only starts after I've been sitting in the dock for 2 hours after my appointment time. Well, anybody that knows me knows that I hate being late. So I typically get to my appointments an hour early because that's as early as they tell me I'm allowed to start getting my trailer unloaded. Sometimes if you get there early, they can get you unloaded early. You can get back on the road. Might take you a little less time depending on where you're getting unloaded. Uh, so it could be up to 3 hours that I'm sitting there not getting paid, waiting to get unloaded. Now, here's the real fun part of all that. If I'm 1 minute late, it's known as a service failure. That's money away from me because I get bonuses by keeping a perfect service record. If I show up at some locations 1 minute earlier than that 1 hour window that I'm allowed to show up in, I also get a service failure. So imagine driving across the country and all the construction and all the traffic and all the cities, the uh, the wrecks and anything else that can go wrong while driving across the United States that is not your fault. You still only have a 1 hour window to make it to a location on time, which is why another reason why I push my clocks just as tight as I can. I would rather be a couple miles from the place I'm delivering, park and sit and wait for my chance to show up and get unloaded than I would like to drive through all the traffic and all the problems and not have enough buffer that if I get stuck in traffic, it burns more than an hour of my time. Well, if you take all that into account, you have a small picture of what goes on in a trucker's day. And that doesn't even get into all the issues that I talked about with uh, little cars and big trucks. That's just the little tip of the iceberg, so to say. I appreciate if you made it this far through the video. I sure do appreciate it. If you have any questions on what it's like throughout the day of a truck driver, leave a comment down below. And if this is your first time logging in, following along, go ahead and hit that like and share button. Uh, and let me know if there's anything you want to know about life out here on the big open road. I'll sure be glad to make a video of it. Until next time, I hope y'all have a good one. Keep it between the mayo and the mustard and keep that shiny side up.